Good evening, everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Catherine.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited about being here tonight for so many reasons. Let's say hello to our audience. In case we have some new viewers this evening, I'll take a minute and I'll introduce myself and my amazing partner. I'm broadcasting to you live tonight from Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. And I am Rara. Rara is in the house, and I'm here with my amazing partner, Lori Delk-Radecki.
Yes, Lori Delk-Radecki. I am outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
So we have an international show tonight. Lori, before we get into our show, let's talk a little bit about, I know you're doing the tech things right now. Let's talk a little bit about, why are we here doing this show? I just booked July 26th, 2022. The next opening we have is August of 2022. So think about that. So I booked June, and I don't know if you had a chance to check that out. So here we are. We want to talk to you a little bit about why we're here and why we're doing this and how are we booking a year in advance. This is awesome. It's amazing for us. It never stops to amaze. It ceased to amaze me on how many people have a wonderful story. Excuse me, on how many people have a gratitude story that they want to share with the world, with us, because we've created this platform where we can talk about things, where we can open up the door to hear what has gone on in someone's life. And we come by this naturally, but we came by it on a specific date because we actually walked across the stage. You bump into people, you say, where did you meet? And where did you meet? We met on stage, both accepting an award. And that's pretty awesome. Do you want to share that part of our story, Lori?
Sure, yes. So Catherine and I met on stage in front of thousands and thousands of people. So we are both in a direct sales company called Send Out Cards. And every single year, our company at their international convention, they have a theme for the year, and then they have an award that kind of like matches with that theme at the convention. And so 2013, they had the theme was gratitude. And so our CEO got up on stage. He starts talking about all the accolades and attributes of this wonderful person. And he starts going, and he does it tricky. Like he starts saying very generic, and then he gets a little bit more specific, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. Finally, he calls Catherine. So I'm the techie kind of person. So I'm in the back, I'm taking video, I'm taking camera, and Catherine goes up on stage. She says her little spiel of acceptance for thank you. And then our CEO says, for the first time ever, there's a tie. So the award goes, it's picked by all the distributors and customers in the company that put in for who wins the award. And so then he started saying all the different things about the next person, and I kept trying to think, who could it be? Who could it be? And so as they got more specific, I was like, okay, it can only be this person or this person or this person, because I know most of the people in the company. And so then all of a sudden he said my name, and I was like, I wasn't even thinking me. But anyway, so then I go up on stage, and so Catherine and I literally met on stage in front of several thousand people. And so it's just like one of those things, it was, we're both girls and we won the gratitude award. So we kind of went, oh, gratitude girls. And we both believe that there are no coincidences. There's always a reason and a purpose behind everything that happens in life. And literally, we decided that Gratitude Girls was born in that moment, bought the domain, and of course, because I had my phone with me, right? And we didn't know what we were going to do with it yet at the time. And now here we are in our 9th year. doing these shows, as well as added in our speaking engagements and coaching and training and book that's coming out soon. And yeah.
It's amazing when you don't know what the path will bring, but you know what you want. And we both lived in that and still live in that gratitude, attitude, and state of mind. And it was so natural for both of us. And we both believe that Cody has a special perception about so many things. And when he put the two of us together, did he really know what was going to happen? He probably sensed something. And if it weren't for us being both there, because one of us could have not gone to that convention, which I know for both of us wouldn't be what we would ever want, but it created this rhythm. And when I was up on stage and I heard your name, I remember thinking, Lori, you'd won so many awards and you were recognized for so many things. And one of the things that stood out was how you were recognized for giving the most gifts in send out cards, now called Greener Still, right? But they're still send out cards. And I thought, what would it be like to receive a gift from Lori? And what does Lori do? As soon as she sees me, she gives me a gift. So I knew, and I was thinking, what would it be like to receive a gift from Lori? And I can see it from where I am right now because it's an eagle. It's a stuffed, it's my stuffy. It's my stuffy. And I have it and I touch it all the time. 2013, you gave that to me. And I don't know how many houses we've bought and sold since then, but it's still with me, of course. And it's right here in my bridge room with me. And what we developed is a rhythm. We never missed a show. Every month, Christmas, New Year's, birthdays, holidays. We've had a guest almost on every show, except maybe once a year, we actually try to be our own guests if we can. Like we say, okay, we'll do this show, that. And then, so I don't know, because next year we're up to August. So if we want to do a show, we better book ourselves in. So we have a guest every month, and it's part of our life. It's part of our daily habit. I mean, to even be able to say to you, Lori, I just booked July. I said July, yeah, July 26th. I'm looking at where my note is. Excuse me for looking down. So I'm thinking, who am I going to book for August and September? We have this rhythm about consistency and continuity and perseverance. And we really believe that when you do and you be and you are and you trust the process, that it is the way it's supposed to be. And we attract amazing guests because of that, and clients, of course, and friends and alliances all over the world. And that brings us to what we're doing tonight. And we're going to be speaking to our guests that I would like to have the honor to introduce. And before I do that, I want to say, Lori, being your partner for all these years, it feels like the first show every time we get together. It doesn't get old. There is nothing about what we do that gets boring, old, humdrum, none of that. This is as exciting today as it was the first day. Of course, with a lot more technology and what shall I say, decisions under our belt. Like we now can make a decision in a nanosecond, whereas before maybe we needed 30 seconds. So it's been a lot of fun. So I would like to take the opportunity right now to introduce our amazing guest. Mahnoor is a personal branding image designer with the focus on designing and creating images through photography, one of my favorite subjects. She helps grow the authority of experts through self-awareness, resulting in personal brand identity and photos aligned with it. Mahnoor arrived in Canada from Pakistan and has made Beamsville, not too far from where we are, her home, along with her husband and her two sons, ages 6 and 10. Coming from a totally different culture, she really believes that the balance of having an outside perspective while being a local in her strength that allows her to make a real difference for her clients. Mahnoor is very interested in the cultural diversity, personal and professional stories of people, and she's curious by nature. She's defined and created personal and commercial branding images for CEOs, entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, realtors, professionals, businesses, and consultants in her community. Her process is to truly understand the client's brand identity, then positioning their vision and convert it into branding photos so that her clients are able to fully express their different from inside out. She's always looking to collaborate with people who believe in YOLO. You only live once. YOLO. Welcome to the Gratitude Girls Show.
Thank you so much, Catherine and Laurie. I'm so honored to be here. And when Catherine mentioned this show, I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I would love to have that opportunity to be here at the show. And we booked months in advance. So I was looking forward to September 28th and be prepared to be on the show. So thank you again so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Let's talk a little bit about how you got into this profession. So many people are interested in image and branding and photography. Can you share a little bit about what, aside from the fact that you're good at it, what led you to this path of photography and branding?
Catherine, it was a very organic process. Like it kind of happened. I did my IT degree, and I was in the IT industry for a few years. And then we moved to Canada, and here, my kids were very young at that time. And there was no concept of work from home. And my husband found his first job with McMaster. And at the time, we actually landed in Calgary first, Alberta first. So we moved here in hope that we would move back eventually closer to the family. And we tried to put our child to daycare. It didn't work. We tried and it didn't work. So I was like, okay, I can stay with my child. And he was very, hyperactive and all. So I wanted to take care of him. And at the same time, I just couldn't stay home. So I was like, okay, let's, and then at that time, YouTube had some lessons. And I started exploring that, how does camera work? And I started going on Kijiji and all sort of social websites like Facebook and all, and find my clients right there. And I started out, because I wanted to practice more, I started with my own family, friends, and then eventually I was like, okay, I can do it. I can get better at it. And part of it was not just the skill of photography. Part of it was, people skills, networking. And then this whole world I was exposed to, and it was exciting. It was like, okay, I was putting myself into different situations, and then I was finding out about myself. So that's how it started. It was very organic. I mean, I didn't stop. I was like, there were events like I felt very discouraged. I cried as well. But then you decide you're not stopping. So that's how it all started.
So let me ask you, when you are holding a camera in your hand, what's going through your mind?
Catherine, my idea was to be of service. And, there is, when you have this at the bottom line that you are a service provider, and as a result of that service, somebody is actually benefiting. Like there is some chain of events happening. So it becomes more than just a technical skill. And I just feel like I'm not just photographing people. We are in a process, and that process has a lot to do with somebody's personal growth, somebody's vision about themselves, somebody's how they are progressing in their own self. And that's what I have in mind. I mean, it's all about feeling. It's all about your belief and faith.
Hmm. Does anyone take pictures of you?
Yeah.
Okay, who does that?
One photographer, and also I do self clicks as well. And then my husband, he has picked the skill as well. You get to instruct him. So, and it's a very vulnerable process. I mean, being in front of the camera you're very vulnerable. You feel like, I don't know what's happening at the other side, what's coming out there, and you feel uncomfortable, kind of nervous as well.
How would you, like, if you were going to give advice to somebody who's watching tonight and they were going to be in front of a camera, maybe tomorrow they have a photo shoot, or they're going to be on a show for the first time, or they're going to be on a podcast, what advice would you give them? Because you know what it's like to be on the other side of the lens, right? So what advice would you give them to perhaps ease their anxiety if they were experiencing that?
That's a very interesting question, because everybody is different, right? There might be some kind of story that they're carrying from their past, or they may be self-conscious. I would advise them to ask this question to themselves first. What is it that is the root of it? What is it that is causing that particular anxiety, or why are they feeling uncomfortable about it, right? So, and that's my priority with my clients. I am always starting my conversation with a consultation, and I never put a time limit on my consultation, because that's when I find out how they are thinking, or what is it that I need to take care of if we are going into a session.
Right. Thank you. So if you're thinking of if tomorrow, if somebody's watching tonight and you're going to be in front of a camera, ask yourself the question, if something is making you nervous, what is that? What is the root of that? So I guess the answer would be to get into the root of the problem. If there is a problem about being in front of the camera, I hear people say, I don't want any pictures. Don't take a picture of me. No, no, no. I'll stand in the back. Let me turn sideways. You get in front of me. Wait a minute. Let me put my glasses on. I put them on to see, but I would take them off if somebody asked me to. I just really can't see what's going on here. So I need my prescription glasses. But I hear these things. And when I hear them, I think, you look beautiful. Let me take your picture. Get in the picture. Or someone does something that makes it. So I'm thinking, when we take fun family photos and photos that hopefully we're going to get to do more now, right? To kind of relieve that person of that anxiety, we say, smile. That's what people say when they're in front of a camera. Is there something that you say?
I actually talk. That's very important. Before they stand in front of the camera, I have a conversation. We have the first conversation in the consultation, and then I have another conversation when they are just before getting into that space where I'm going to photograph them. And I say, you're going to feel awkward. You may feel uncomfortable, but I am here, and it's going to be a very guided process. You're safe. So as soon as I click a good photo and I show it at the back of the camera, they're like, oh, okay, we got it.
Okay, so you give proof. So you give proof of a good photo and say, see, here's a good photo. Relax now. Okay.
And then I don't let them think. I'm like, okay, let's do the next one.
That's great. Oh, that's a really good. That's good. You have fun. Lori, do you have any questions? I have so many more. I thought you might have one.
Yes, I have two, actually. So first one, of course, this is the Gratitude Girl show. So if you could share some sort of gratitude story with us, like we all know that everybody has, lots of things to be thankful and grateful for in their life. But if there's just one that you are willing to share with the world, some little story. And then I do have another question though, also is, so just kind of like how Catherine said, but reversed, if someone is, you know, because this is a worldwide show, if someone is needing to get professional pictures done, could you just give us maybe 3 to 5 tips of what to look for in hiring a photographer? Obviously, if they're not anywhere that you could photograph them.
The story that I can think of, and I really needed at that time. So there are a number of, when you are an immigrant and you're in this different country and there are different languages, there are many challenges that come your way because you don't understand the system, you are new to the system, and there are so many things that you are juggling. And at the same time, what happened that my father got cancer, and he passed away. And then I was struggling inside, even though I was networking, I was going out and all, but I was struggling. And at the same time, I was trying to push myself because I was working on my own personal growth as well. So this group of women, this is the group of women that I joined. It's this a platform called FemCity. That's the only networking event that I used to go, other than one-on-one coffee dates. So we were having this regular conversation, and I, in my mind, I was thinking, I'm the only one who is struggling here. They don't know what's going on in my mind, and then I just keep it to myself. I never shared or said anything, but I was just thinking throughout that struggle. So I was sitting next to one of the member, and she just had a conversation with me, and she opened up about something which is very personal to her. I'm sorry, I cannot share it here because I just want to respect that. And she said something, and I was surprised. I was like, I was thinking that it was only me who was going through something. Well, this lady is actually so beautifully smiling every month when we are meeting. And she never gave me or anybody a clue that there was something going on with her, right? And then she said, I was very grateful for this, whatever, what doesn't matter if this is the part I'm struggling with, but I have all of this. That's when, my eyes opened. I was like, oh my God. I never thought, like, I was so stuck in my grief that I kind of assumed that everybody else was at a good place in their life, and they were not. So I was like, okay, the key is you keep going, and then eventually things will make sense. And you practice, and you practice, and you practice gratitude, and then you will find out something amazing out of your grief as well. And I cannot thank that lady enough. Like, when it's like a button, that time, at that moment, a button clicked in me, and that actually helped me a lot. So I'm very grateful about that. So
That's wonderful.
thank you. And the other question, what to look for, especially in personal branding. I have done children photos, family photos and all. And I was trying to find out what genre is it that I am more interested in. And I was like, okay, when I started doing headshots, somebody said they needed headshot. I was like, okay, come in, we book the headshot, we get it done, send it, okay, no conversation, right? But then I found out I didn't know who she is. I didn't know what she was working on. I didn't know where she's going to use that photos, and I didn't know how she perceived herself. If I do not have a context, I cannot personalize those images for her. So once that clicked in as part of the process, I was like, okay, what they need is, yes, they need a good quality photo, but they need meaning to it. If they can relate to it, they're more likely to use those photos now because they believe in it. They believe that's who they are. That's what their vision is about themselves. So my biggest one is find and work with someone who is willing to invest time getting to know you. And number two, again, that you want to be comfortable, even though you're awkward in a photo shoot. But you want to be comfortable, and so find somebody who you're comfortable working with. And then obviously the other details as well. And the other part, I would say, experiment, create ideas, talk about your vision. Because when you talk about your vision, the other person who's going to photograph you is able to create the images, the kind of photos that align with your personal brand. So that's the biggest thing I would suggest.
Those are very
Great.
good tips.
Yeah, those are wonderful tips. Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking when you were talking about when you were speaking to that woman and a button clicked, and I was thinking, have you ever clicked the button? Have you ever shot someone that had taken their photo and thought, oh no, like I use the word blooper, like has anything happened where it was just so funny that you had to laugh, but at the moment it felt like it was not that funny? Have you had one of those moments in one of your photo shoots?
You mean it was not funny, but it was funny at the same time?
Yeah, like it didn't go the way it was supposed to, but yet you sort of laughed it off.
There've been many interesting moments during the photo shoot time. The most common, I would say, we laugh at ourselves, when photos don't turn out the way we want that particular photo to turn out. And the ability to look at that photo and then to be able to laugh, at your own self. Those moments are very special. That has happened with some of my clients. So they don't become conscious. They don't, close themselves. They're like, oh, look at that. And then we laugh together.
Good. You laugh together. So what's the most important part about a photo shoot? Is it the lighting? Is it capturing someone? I'll leave it to you. Like, what's the most important part?
Catherine, the most important part again is each one. Okay, here are the traits of my clients. My clients are attached to some kind of cause, and they're very committed to their personal and business growth. And then they're working towards something. Their mind is focused on a goal, right? And then for me, that becomes the most important thing. So I would say that if we keep that in context, that these are the people that I'm working with, everything changes. Everything becomes bigger. Everything becomes more than just a photo shoot, right? And that's the idea of what I would say is bigger than any lighting, is bigger than any technical skill, is the vision that is most important. So everybody, each one of us, you, I, everybody has a vision ourselves in our head, right? And now it's something that we can imagine, but it's not tangible. We can't see it, right? So if I'm able to create that, that's a win. That's a win. That goes like, oh, okay, that's something I was looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, you give the thing that's in somebody's mind and you actually produce it, right, and put it in front of them. Is there someone that you would like to photograph in your mind's eye, like thinking, I would really like to shoot them, I'd like to photograph them, and who are they?
Again, these are the traits that I'm going for. And I am very specific. Okay, am I a good fit for this person? Is this person looking for me? Right? If we are looking for each other, now everything falls in place. So you would not see me desperately looking for clients because I know who I want to work with. If I know who I want to work with and they know they want to work with me, we produce quality outcomes. We create some great memories, and they value what we are doing. I value what they are looking for. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Thank you. That's very mindful and very insightful to who you are and how you think. I would like to ask how comfortable you are with the mic. I know how you are with the camera, with the lens. Are you comfortable to take a few moments in this show and ask us a question, or each the same or different question? And if you are, then we would like to hand the show over to you and then kindly take it back.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. I actually have questions. And I would start with, I would ask this question to Laurie. Laurie, my question to you is, what do you think? And what is the one commitment one should make to oneself, own self, in life? And what the eventually, as a result of that commitment, what kind of growth they should be looking for?
Okay. So the first part of your question, the first thing that came to my mind was the number one thing that you should commit to yourself is to love yourself and make sure that you're happy. Number one, because you can't love other people the way you need to love them if you don't love yourself. You can't make other people happy if you're not happy yourself, if you can't find some sort of happiness within yourself. And so I think those are like the first two things of your stepping stone before you can get to any type of success, because you have to be happy and content with, one, with where you're at, and grateful and thankful for where you're at, what you have, in order to move to those next steps to start rising up that ladder of success to get to where you want to be in the future one day, right? But you still have to be happy with yourself and loving yourself. I think that's just the most important thing.
And loving yourself, would you suggest it shouldn't be having any conditions attached to it? If I do that, then I would love myself.
Right. Yes. No conditions attached. Right. Because you have to, because that's it. Because like you're married, right? So do you love your husband with conditions attached, or do you love him unconditionally? Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what it should be with yourself also, not, well, I'll love myself when I lose weight, or I'll love myself when my hair grows longer. I'll love myself when I'm making this amount of money, right? I love myself right now, and I'm grateful and thankful of where I'm at and where I've become from even growing up, from growing into a woman or a man, or whatever you are, into those next steps, but you have to be happy with where you're at and thankful and grateful, especially, but also that's it, just loving yourself and being happy with where you're at before you can even go to those next levels that you want to go to. Like Catherine right now, being happy and grateful and thankful and loving herself with where she's at, even though she wants to grow into doing yoga stuff up on rubber bands.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for sharing, Lori. I think it's so important because in the process, when you say no conditions apply, you say, okay, my biggest commitment to myself is to be better than my previous version. But then it doesn't mean that I don't love myself now.
Right.
I mean, I respect myself, and I know if I stay persistent, I stay consistent, I would get to the next stage. Thank you so much for sharing, Laurie. And Catherine, to you, my question is, what are those skills that you used most throughout your career that produced the results and that resulted into who Catherine is today?
Thank you. Intuition is the first thing that I would suggest we tune into. Find out how intuitive we are. Play a game if we have to. Exercise that muscle. Speak to other people. Guess if your intuition is correct. Jot things down. Create I am statements and see if we could sense what is going on in us. And I believe knowing what your superpower is, I think about what is the thing that I'm really good at? And sometimes what I think I'm good at is not the thing that people come to me for. So I would say, what is your superpower? What do people come to you for all the time? And that's probably more your superpower than what you think it is, right? I might say, oh, my superpower is I'm a good listener, but really that's not what people don't come to me and say, oh, can you listen to me? That's not usually what they'll say. They'll ask me to do something. So I believe knowing what you're good at. So I'll share an example so I have some context to that. I'm really good at figuring out when things do not align. I can hear it. I can see it. If it had an odor, a scent, I could smell it. If it had a taste, I could taste it. In a conversation, I can pick up the thing that doesn't make sense with the thing that you just said. In a sentence, I can hear the flow. When I'm reading something, I can read that probably didn't happen in that order. If I'm looking at something, I can pretty much guess where it started if I didn't get there, where it's going to end, and what's going to happen in the middle. I can't give this a name. I'll call it intuition. But my superpower is to find the inconsistency. And then to back that up, I can break it and fix it. I can find out where the break is. So I believe the success that we have is knowing what we're good at, knowing how we can tune into things, and then owning that. Being right there with that skill, that belief. And what Lori was talking about, if we do not believe in ourselves, then it's very hard to find success. It's very hard to create a happy client relationship. It's very hard to have a happy family if we do not love ourselves. Because it's really hard to give somebody something if we don't have it. And if we don't love ourselves, we can't give it to somebody else. We can't give it away.
Thank you for sharing that, Catherine. And I agree with you. When you're not aligned with your own self, then then you will see it in everything you do. And then as a result, the success that you are looking for is not there. And that's what I kind of observe with entrepreneurs, because they have a faith in themselves and they have faith to rely on. The safety net is not there. There's a roller coaster, right? And I was like, okay, how can they do it? Only because if they are in alignment with themselves, they make things happen. And that's what I really appreciate about them. So thank you for answering the questions I asked.
Oh, no, you're very welcome. If you're comfortable with that part of this show, then it gives us a chance to really know you. So I'll explain why we do this in case you're wondering. We get to know you a little bit more. Our audience gets to know you in a way that they may not have expected, because you take over the mic, but we hear what's going on in your mind. And we get to understand you as the person, the photographer, the mother, the friend, the business person. We get to hear a different perspective, and we get to see how what you're asking us, right? And how you're interacting. So I really find this a very powerful part of our show, because we become very vulnerable. And when you show vulnerability, you show trust. And when you show that you can trust someone, then in return, that creates a bond. That's very powerful for us. Thank you so much for doing that, and so eloquently. I have a question about the future. They say if you don't write it down, Lori said this last night. She was on an exclusive panel, and she was in a private webinar, which is now public to probably over 150,000 or 250,000 people. If you don't write it down, then it's not going to happen. If you don't plan it, it's not going to happen. It's that simple. What do you see in the future for yourself? Have you planned anything?
Yeah, Catherine, I agree with that. If you don't write it, it's not real. And I do write what I am hoping for in the future. I think I have next 5 years goals, and I have a vision about myself. If you had met me when I moved to Canada and I was that girl who was shooting people in the park and then shying away to ask for money, I never imagined that this would be me today, right? And I had this commitment to myself that I would value myself, and I would be sitting in a show like this and talking about all that I have been doing, the kind of service that I've been providing. So for next 5 years and 10 years and then 15 years, I have some goals, and I see myself growing even more. That growth, the skill, you establish your reputation, which is your personal brand, with one skill, right? But what happens as a result of that? As a result of that, you show your character, your values to people, and then you are known for something. So I have more skills that I am now hoping to learn in the next 5 years and be so good at it. The reputation that I gained today with the skill that I have today, it would be even bigger than that. That skill is related to business. And I have plans, again, working with small businesses. And that's what I am hoping to get done.
Amazing. Wonderful. So the small businesses that are watching our show, the large businesses that are watching our show, the entrepreneurs that are watching our show, we want them to understand your YOLO, right? It's YOLO. You want to talk to us about that? How did you come up with that?
Just an idea. I'm on my deathbed and I'm thinking about all the stuff that I did. And I'm like, okay, I got to then do this, I got to do that, I put myself into that situation, how funny was that? And I look at it as a video game now, right? Now I'm thinking about myself, okay, I'm not good at something, but at my deathbed, I would be like, heck, I did that. Because you only live once, right? No matter how many times you would be hurt in the process, but once it's done, you would be like, okay, I'm bigger than that. I was bigger than that. And you get to the next level. So YOLO is really, I imagine myself on the deathbed. And the reason I was able to do that because I saw my father on the deathbed. And he was satisfied. He was happy. He was content when he was leaving. He was very young, he was 62. But even he didn't live, past 70 or whatever, but he was content. So I that's my ideal state.
Thank you. I would like to make sure that our audience can, understand that that's important to you. YOLO, YOLO. What if someone wanted to reach out to you as a result of your work, your reputation, or you being on the show tonight? We will put all of your links and all of your information. What is your first preference of communication for people to communicate with you?
Email, phone. I love receiving phone calls, by the way. I love it. When you're not expecting, you have a phone, you're like, okay, who is there? So yeah, don't hesitate to call me. Email would be great as well if you feel more comfortable with the emails. Yeah, and don't be hesitant to ask me to go for a coffee or get into a Zoom call, because really knowing people's story has contributed a lot to me. It just opens up the perspective. It adds to the perspective. So that's the best way.
That's great to know. That's a wonderful door opener. That's fantastic. Lori, did you have any other questions before we go into the next segment of our show, speaking to our audience?
No, I think I'm good. I love the talk though. I love all her answers.
Yes, love it, really. And I know that we're going to be able to talk more and probably follow up with our audience with something else after this show. So our audience could stay tuned for some of the things that we have planned that we talked about just prior to the show. Hang out with us. Please stay with us while we go to the part of our show where we'll speak to our audience. But is there anything else that you'd like to say? Is there a message? Is there something that you want to say to someone about gratitude that perhaps you haven't, whether they're here or near or far, before we start to wrap up?
Catherine, I just want to add to my conversation, because I come from a different background. I grew up in Pakistan and I moved to Canada once I finished my university, right? So I had a different perspective to life. And one of those perspectives was a woman in West is very confident. She has no problems related to abuse and all. She's the ideal, in the ideal state. But when I got here, I found out, oh, that's not what I was, that's not true. And thinking of that gap between the two different parts of the world is something, you have assumptions in your mind and then you stop working on something. Why? Because you didn't have those opportunities. That's not true. Opportunities are everywhere. And that's why I like that opened up my mind a lot. Even women here, they are working on their growth. They are working towards the leadership seats. They are fighting for equal pay opportunities. So I would conclude it as there's a gap. We need to fill the gap. And I'm doing photography, but I'm filling the gap. And I would see more of it. I would love to see more of it, even though, it's we wrap up our photo shoot and then, think we move on with our lives. But when we work together, we are actually contributing towards something bigger. So I would just want to say that collaborate more with women of color and fill the gap.
Thank you. I feel that saying bridge the gap would be so appropriate. Yes, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And because it just seemed like I put this, Lori, on my website, right? My other business is bridge the gap. So I feel like that just is a really good segue into how we can bring gratitude and using our ability to align ourselves with gratitude to bridge the gap. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your sharing your story and your skills. And in advance, thank you for what you're going to be doing for me. I so appreciate it. You are amazingly generous and you surprised me, and that doesn't happen often. So thank you so much. Lori, let's talk a little bit about our audience is watching, they're listening, they're tuning in live or a few days from now, and they're thinking, I want to do that. I want to be there. What does someone do in order to share their gratitude story and hang out and tell the world what's on their mind?
Yes, absolutely. So go connect with us. Go to facebook.com/gratitudegirls. Make sure you follow us, like us there, and then click on the message and send us your gratitude story. Make sure to also include your best contact information, cell phone, email, and how you would prefer us to get back with you. And we will get back with you when we can with our calendar and let you know when we can feature you and your story. So right now we are booking the end of next year. And so about a year in advance. So if you want to get on in the next couple of years, you need to go ahead and get us your gratitude story. So once again, facebook.com/gratitudegirls, and then also go check out our other shows. So we have some incredible speakers, and for the last 9 years, every single month, we've got different speakers and different guests. And so many are so amazing. So go to gratitudegirls.com and watch several of our shows there.
And Lori, I was thinking about if someone wants to be on our show, plan it, schedule it, put it in your calendar. That's what we do. And Lori and I have a process I wanted to share. When you tell us you're going to be on our show, we believe you. We do not question you and send you a reminder every 3 days until you appear on the show. You say it, we know you're going to show up. We ask you to send us information and we go live. And that's what I love about the culture that we have created and the community. It is one of trust. We thought about this, right? What do we do once our guest says yes? We just set the pace and set the tone and set the stage, and here we are. And I appreciate that because it makes it such an easy business to work in when we don't have all of those, what do we call that?
Incessant follow-ups.
Yes, all those, exactly. Right. we work on an energetic level. When you tell us that you're going to be here, we know you're going to be here. And that's something I wanted to share with you, because if you're wondering how we work and how we move forward, it really is something that becomes very organic for us. And I think that's very powerful, because an organic process, like farming, like nature, it happens no matter what. Rain, shine, holiday, we're here. Lori, it's been amazing to be on this show tonight. And I was so looking forward. I was a little nervous about, what do I wear? What do I look? What do I do? Oh, what's a girl to do? Do I put that lipstick or not? Is she thinking about putting me in a photo? I was just so little nervous about what I should do tonight, but I'm so glad that I finally relaxed and enjoyed it. So thank you so much for being here with us, and to our audience, thank you so much. We will be back here the 4th Tuesday of every month. I got this. 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Central. Don't ask me after 9 years why I have to think about it. So we look forward to seeing you next month.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much.